Welcome to NTD Newsroom. I'm Don Ma. Today, President Trump meets with families of Americans killed by illegal immigrants, highlighting the case of 22-year-old Laken Riley. The president declares February 22nd Angel Family Day. Chaos across Mexico, with 25 soldiers being reported dead after a major military operation. How the U.S. assisted in the military raid to kill a key cartel boss in Mexico. A federal judge rules that the Justice Department can't release a prosecutor's report on the classified documents case against President Trump. The same judge dismissed the case in 2024. A massive winter storm slamming the Northeast. Thousands of flights have been canceled and more than 40 million people are under blizzard warnings. We have updates. Nick Rayner pleads not guilty to 2 counts of first-degree murder. The 32-year-old is accused of killing his parents in December. The UK arrests its former ambassador to the US, Peter Mendelsohn. What he is accused of after his emails with Jeffrey Epstein came to light in the latest Epstein files.
This is NTD Newsroom, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. President Trump hosted families of Americans killed by illegal immigrants during an event today at the White House. Trump recounted the story of Laken Riley, a 22-year-old nursing student who was killed by a Venezuelan national in 2024.
Laken was viciously attacked, brutally beaten and murdered by an illegal alien gang member who the last administration heartlessly released into our country. No problems. Let them in. They let in everybody. They didn't check anybody. They let in everybody. Among the first bills I signed into law after taking office last year was the Laken Riley Act. I'm so proud of it. To ensure illegal alien criminals are rapidly removed from the United States of America.
You have fought a fight that most people would not want to have to fight. Most people wouldn't. They would just say it's just easier not to do this. And President Trump you are doing a thankless job that most people just wouldn't do. And I just can't thank you enough.
Trump made his remarks during today's Angel Families Remembrance Ceremony. The president has declared February 22nd as Angel Family Day, a reference to the date Laken Riley was killed. The president signed a proclamation following his comments, designating February 22nd as a day to honor victims of crimes committed by illegal immigrants. At least 25 members of the Mexican National Guard are reported dead amid a string of cartel violence. Mexico's military killed a major cartel boss with the help from the U.S. yesterday. NTD's international correspondent Arian Pasdar has the story.
Chaos across Mexico on Monday after the nation's military killed a cartel boss known as El Mencho. His real name is Nemesio Oseguera, and he was the leader of the Jalisco New Generation cartel. Before entering a life of crime, Oseguera was a local police officer. After his death, cartel members started causing fires, putting up roadblocks, and create chaos across the country. At least 25 National Guard members are reported dead amid the unrest.
Our condolences to the families of the people who lost their lives. The people of Mexico should feel very proud of our armed forces and the security cabinet that we have.
The Mexican president added that all of the more than 250 cartel roadblocks across 20 states had been cleared. She also says the U.S. assisted in the military raid to kill the cartel boss by providing information.
The understanding with the United States is based primarily on the exchange of intelligence information. In this case, the U.S. government provided information and even issued an intelligence statement.
Ohio Senator Bernie Moreno wants the U.S. to get involved more, saying Mexico needs U.S. military backup to end the threat of narco-terrorism. Residents in Mexico say they're concerned amid the ongoing unrest in the country.
Unfortunately, it's not the first time we're experiencing this, but this time it does seem a bit more worrying. Fear is everywhere on the streets.
After the military operation, the U.S. Embassy in Mexico asked U.S. citizens to shelter in place as the situation unfolds. Ariane Pastar, NTD News.
A federal judge has permanently barred the Justice Department from releasing a prosecutor's report on the classified documents case against President Trump. The same judge dismissed the case in 2024 after finding that Special Counsel Jack Smith was unlawfully appointed. District Judge Eileen Cannon ruled that the release would present a manifest injustice to Trump and his two co-defendants. In her decision, Cannon explained that Trump and all criminal defendants are entitled to a presumption of innocence. Cannon added that a jury never heard the case. The DOJ under former President Biden indicted Trump in 2023, accusing him of unlawfully retaining classified material following his first term in office. Trump and his two co-defendants, a personal aide and a manager at his Mar-a-Lago club in Palm Beach, had pleaded not guilty to all charges. Millions of people across New York City and much of the Northeast are stuck at home today, with heavy snow and powerful winds intensifying. Road travel bans and blizzard warnings remain in effect. Snow has been falling at a rate of 2 to 3 inches per hour from New York through Massachusetts. The National Weather Service reports 15 inches of snow in New York City's Central Park. Wind gusts are topping 30 miles per hour. Visibility is dangerously low. The National Weather Service says travel conditions are nearly impossible. According to FlightAware, more than 5,000 flights across the United States were canceled today. Most cancellations were in New York, New Jersey, and Boston. From Maryland to Maine, more than 40 million people are under weather blizzard warnings. Non-emergency road travel is banned in New York City and New Jersey through noon today. One stranded air traveler says her flight was ready to go when the winds picked up.
We got on the actual plane. They were de-icing it, and by the time they de-iced it, the winds, I guess, picked up.
And what time was that?
Maybe around, we were supposed to board, we boarded at 6, maybe 6:30, 7 o'clock. So we all got off the plane and then winded up sleeping here. So this is something I'll check off my bucket list.
Had it with the snow. This winter has been too cold, too snowy, too miserable. I'm ready for it to be over.
Words can't describe. This is a once-in-a-lifetime storm. This is amazing. So my dog loves it, and I'm just gonna hunker down inside.
I think that's a very special moment. I haven't seen so much snow in 15 years.
States of emergency have been declared in New York, Philadelphia, and other cities. The storm knocked out power to nearly 600,000 customers along the East Coast. That's according to poweroutage.us. New York City and Boston have canceled public school classes. The heaviest snow is expected to taper off by this afternoon. In New York City, officials are recruiting shovelers to help clear the snow. The House and the Senate have postponed votes scheduled for today. The Department of Homeland Security remains shut down. The Senate is expected to take a procedural vote on a DHS funding bill tomorrow at 5 p.m. President Trump's State of the Union address remains on track for tomorrow evening. An investigation is underway after law enforcement shot and killed a 21-year-old man at Mar-a-Lago, President Trump's Florida estate. Authorities say the suspect was inside the state's security perimeter, armed with a shotgun. Here are the details.
Law enforcement says the suspect was found inside the property's front gate at around 1:30 a.m. Sunday morning. A deputy from the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office and 2 Secret Service agents confronted him.
He was ordered to drop those 2 pieces of equipment that he had with him, at which time he put down the gas can, raised the shotgun to a shooting position. At that point in time, the deputy and the 2 Secret Service agents fired their weapons and neutralized the threat. He is deceased at the scene.
Aside from the suspect, there were no other fatalities or injuries. President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump were in Washington, D.C. at the time of the incident after attending a governor's dinner Saturday evening. The sheriff said the FBI is leading the investigation into the incident.
One thing I would ask the public is if you live in the area of the shooting, please check your exterior cameras for last night, early this morning. If you see anything that looks suspicious or out of place, please contact us.
The young man has been identified as Austin Tucker Martin from Cameron, North Carolina. His mother reported him missing Saturday night. The president and first lady were not on the property by Sunday morning, but others were. According to foreign affairs expert Bart Marcois, something doesn't seem right.
All we know about him is that he was a white male. At this point, we don't know motivation, background, any of that. And the real question is, how did he get inside Mar-a-Lago? I have been here for the past week. I'm still down here. I have friends who are still inside. The security there is impressive and comprehensive. How did this guy get inside the compound that is guarded by local law enforcement, federal law enforcement, and the Secret Service?
Officials are also investigating where the firearm carried by the suspect was purchased. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt praised the Secret Service for acting quickly while most Americans were sleeping.
Joining us to discuss this further is Jimmy Graham, former CIA protective officer, retired U.S. Navy SEAL, and founder and CEO of Able Shepherd. So, Jimmy, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. So, as you know, the man was ordered to drop his weapon, but he raised the shotgun to a shooting position, according to officials. Can we get your comments on the situation?
Yeah, that's kind of how that plays out. If you aim a firearm at law enforcement or Secret Service, you should expect to get neutralized. And I appreciate the fact that they use neutralize the threat. We train law enforcement and citizens, responsible citizens, regularly every day but Sunday, and that's the term we use. You shouldn't train people to kill someone, even for their own well-being. We neutralize the threat so that others may live. One, it's correct, and two, it's going to help out those officers that have to deal with those unfortunate instances, but they would do it again because they remember saving lives, not taking a life.
So on that point, do you think, was there any possibility of using less lethal options? Was that realistic at the time?
Not at all, not at all. Remember, those officers that are doing a job that's extremely hard because we're asking them to, because we don't want to or are not trained to, if you don't have the skills to do that, and you ask someone to go in your stead and do dangerous things, we forget that those are human beings. They could be fathers, they could be sons, all these things, and husbands. They get to go home too, right? So if you're playing around with less lethal, when someone else has a pump shotgun is a horrible, the capability of a shotgun, especially with the right munitions, they're nasty. It's just nasty, nasty. It's a lot of power. With great power comes great responsibility. I wrote an article about shotguns and called it exactly that. But those officers get to go home, and there's certain lines. And this gentleman crossed those lines, and it didn't work out for him. So I think people should understand this, like take this warning. Like if I throw a brick at a federal vehicle, I expect to go to jail. I actually must go to jail, or you set a precedent. If I aim a shotgun at people, I really do need to be shot, or else that precedent is that it's okay to aim shotguns at folks.
So, Jimmy, for me at least, this incident does bring to memory previous incidents, whether we're talking about the 2024 Butler rally shooting and then the Trump golf course plot by the alleged assassin and other recent attacks on officials. So we don't know the exact motives of this case, but just talk to us about what appears to be an escalating climate of violence, whether it's political or not.
Yeah, it's national. So there's an escalating. People are getting more angry. They're getting more violent. They're getting more crazy. So in the moment, it would be a mistake to try to figure this out. Like in the moment, yes, we got to get the clues and figure out what's going on. But I wouldn't waste time trying to make nonsense out of nonsense. Like crazy people are just going to crazy. That's what they're going to do, right? So this is what protection is. It's self-defense, and then stand in front of somebody else. Because these people, they would be what's called a perimeter, and protection. Again, defend myself, but now stand in front. Say to get to them, you have to go through me. So if you have gasoline, you're saying I'm going to burn stuff. Maybe that's property, maybe it's people. And if you have a shotgun, I'm going to shoot something, and we have to assume it's people. So if I can't protect myself from you and then stand in front of, let's say, Mar-a-Lago and the people within, then I'm not a very good protector. So in this case, it worked, but we need to be honest. In all those instances, why wasn't a better job done? So print the legend, or do you want the truth? So the truth is that there's holes. Well, Israel learned this, we learned this. It's like, hey, be honest and say, we've made mistakes, let's fix it. Around here, we say, show me. This whole don't tell me about security, show me that it's good and people don't get in.
Okay, I want to ask you about security. I don't know if you can answer this, but let me get your comments nevertheless. So we know the intruder reached the secure perimeter in a vehicle, right? We mentioned the shotgun, the fuel canister. So he did all this without being stopped. This certainly raises questions about maybe potential security gaps. Just your comments on this.
So this is just a crystal clear. I teach churches, schools, civic groups, law enforcement, all these folks. And I say in some kind of situation, in an emergency, so we're living in an emergency, whose job is security? And the answer should be everyone's. Everyone's. As I understand it, this person waited for someone to leave. When the gate was open, that's when they breached. Now, I don't know, that hasn't been confirmed, but security isn't just Secret Service. It's not just the police. It's not just the security guard at your kid's school. It's everyone's responsibility, which means if you're leaving, don't hold the door open for someone. Close the door. And then they have to get buzzed in so the security protocols can go. If I'm driving away from a gate, which I do regularly, I'm going to stop, not let people in on my exit, let the gate close so that they can chime in. So people are straight up lazy, thinking that the protection, we say take care of one another. That's everybody's job. It's not just Secret Service. It's not just security. It's not just law enforcement. It's every single human being's job to take care of other human beings. And we just need to start owning that, see what that looks like, and start taking care of one another.
Okay, Jimmy, well said, as always. Thank you for speaking with us.
Honored. Thank you.
Tomorrow, President Trump delivers the first State of the Union of his second term. What issues will he address, and how has the country changed since his first term in office? Join NTD's Tiffany Meyer, Steve Lance, and Mari Otsu tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern for a preview of the major topics the president is expected to cover in his State of the Union address. And on Tuesday, join us at 7 p.m. Eastern as we track the president ahead of his speech, hear reactions from lawmakers, and speak with panels on what it all means for you. So don't miss it. President Trump has some strong words of criticism for the Supreme Court's tariff ruling, but said it also gives him more power. And the president warns of higher tariffs for countries that, quote, play games. More news after this.
They tried to silence us. But 5,000 years cannot be erased.
A lost world reborn. Timeless. Divine. Witness the revival. Experience the extraordinary. Live on stage. Returns to David Koch Theater, March 25th through April 12th. Get your tickets now at shenyun.com. According to ancient Chinese medicine, purslane is considered a medicinal herb and is used to help lower cholesterol, improve vascular functions, and prevent diabetes. Perilla seeds can nourish the lungs and spleen. It is used to treat asthma and improve pulmonary functions. Puritang green vegetable omega-3 is made from purslane and perilla seeds from Hwangmae Mountain in South Korea. It contains over 90% of omega-3, 6, 7, and 9. The highest concentration possible without chemical additives. The soft gel is made of natural seaweed. It is 100% organic and vegan. Both adults and children can take it with peace of mind. Ancient recipes were passed down from heaven to bring prosperity and longevity. Puritang green vegetable omega-3.
Hate is loud. It gets clicks. It gets attention. Hate, however, is actually quite small. But love is the majority, filling up something far more important than any feed. Love fills our hearts, our lives, our everyday, with understanding, empathy, and compassion, leaving hate to become what it truly is, a whisper.
price rod on my glasses yesterday, and I had to pay up front for a new pair that I can't even pick up for another 10 days. So I looked for another way, and I found Select Specs. I ordered online. My new glasses just arrived this morning, and I can pay over the next few weeks. This is the way to buy glasses.
See now, pay later with Select Specs. Next day delivery and deferred payment options only at selectspecs.com.
More fallout following the release of the latest batch of Epstein files. British police say they have arrested former British ambassador to the U.S. Peter Mandelson. London police took Mandelson into custody earlier today on suspicion of misconduct in public office. British authorities have been investigating Mandelson this month following the release of the latest Epstein files. The files show emails between Mandelson and the sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. They show the two men had a close relationship that had been publicly known. Mandelson shared information with the disgraced financier when he was a minister in 2009. Mandelson served as the UK ambassador to the US in 2025. He resigned from public office earlier this month following the release of the Epstein files. The British politician has previously said he very deeply regretted his association with Epstein. His lawyers have not yet commented on his arrest. President Trump today weighed in on the Supreme Court's tariff ruling, calling it ridiculous, dumb, and internationally divisive. But the president says it accidentally gave him more powers. Trump said the court ruled the U.S. cannot charge license fees on foreign countries. However, he said the court approved other tariffs. He added, they can now be applied in a, quote, powerful and obnoxious way with legal certainty. Trump accused the court of making a poor decision for the wrong people, while also highlighting what he called ongoing threats from China and other nations. He emphasized the ruling strengthens his authority to use tariffs against countries he says have long taken advantage of the United States. In another post, Trump said any countries that wanted to play games with the U.S. trade deals would face much higher tariffs. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer says none of the trading partners that struck deals with the Trump administration have indicated intentions to withdraw. NTD's Daniel Monahan has more on that, plus reactions from key administration members.
Trade Representative Jamieson Greer said he spoke with his counterpart from the European Union over the weekend, as well as officials from other countries. The trade rep says the deals were not premised on whether or not the emergency tariff litigation would rise or fall. Greer says Congress has delegated enormous tariff-setting authority to the president over the years. Speaking on CBS News' Face the Nation.
So even though the Supreme Court struck down tariffs under one authority, tariffs under other national security elements remain in place.
Greer defended tariffs, saying they help negotiate trade deals, reshore critical industries, and attract billions in new investments on U.S. soil.
We expect to have continuity in the president's tariff program. We know that these laws work, they're tried and true, and so we'll have continuity. The policy hasn't changed, just the tools have changed.
Greer also criticized the SCOTUS decision.
It's foreign companies that are benefiting from the tariffs being struck down.
Meanwhile, the European Commission said yesterday it wants full clarity from the United States after the Supreme Court tariff ruling. Following the ruling, President Trump announced a 10% global tariff under Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974, before increasing it to 15% following a detailed review of the court's decision. Under a trade agreement reached last July, the United States agreed to cap tariffs on most EU imports to 15%. In return, the EU agreed to eliminate tariffs on all U.S. industrial goods. It also agreed to increase purchases of military and defense equipment from the United States. Switzerland commented on the tariff ruling, saying it should prepare for the likelihood that U.S. tariffs will remain in place permanently. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says the SCOTUS ruling was a very narrow ruling in terms of the president's ability to use emergency powers to collect revenues, speaking on Fox News.
The Supreme Court said the president can put in a full embargo, but he cannot collect $1. So the president still has the most draconian measure for negotiations.
Bessent says Treasury projections show 2026 revenues from tariffs are unchanged, and that applies to the future as well.
The president announced on Friday and then amended over the weekend 15% global tariff using a very robust authority from 1974. Those will be layered on with Section 232, Section 301, and the 122s They run for 150 days.
Besson says during that time, studies will be done, which will likely lead to increased tariff revenues. The Supreme Court did not address potential tariff refunds. They remanded it back to the lower court. Besson says the administration will follow their future legal rulings. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
Major U.S. trading partners are reacting to the Supreme Court's tariff ruling and President Trump's latest 15% tariff. The European Parliament today postponing a vote on its trade deal with the U.S.
But this means not that we never vote on that. No, we want to have clarity about the situation. We want to have clarity from the United States that they are respecting the deal, because that's the crucial element, that we want to have stability. That's for trade relations important, but this is for specifically important for investment.
The U.S. and the EU reached the trade deal in July. The EU was scheduled to vote on it tomorrow, but now says it's unclear if there will be additional measures or how the U.S. will guarantee the deal is upheld. Meanwhile, the UK says it does not expect Trump's new tariffs to impact the majority of its trade deal with the U.S. The UK expects discussions between the two sides to continue this week. Officials are not ruling out the possibility of retaliatory tariffs. China, meanwhile, is making a full assessment of the latest tariff upheaval. The regime says it wants the U.S. to lift unilateral tariffs. The son of Rob Reiner and Michelle Singer Reiner pleaded not guilty today to 2 counts of first-degree murder. His not guilty plea comes after the renowned director and his wife were found stabbed to death in their Los Angeles home in December. Prosecutors have charged Nick Reiner with 2 counts of first-degree murder in the killing of his parents. The 32-year-old was arrested just hours after their bodies were discovered and is being held without bail. A public defender representing Reiner entered the not guilty plea on his behalf after Reiner's first attorney, Alan Jackson, stepped down during a hearing in January. Jackson did not provide a reason for leaving the case. Prosecutors have yet to decide whether they will seek the death penalty. Police are expanding the search for Nancy Guthrie, mother of NBC anchor Savannah Guthrie. In a major setback, DNA collected from the scene has not matched any profiles in the national database. Authorities now say they might tap DNA genealogy databases. It's the same step that police took to unravel a decades-old series of murders in California and the fatal stabbings of 4 college students in Idaho. If unidentified DNA evidence can be connected to someone in a common genealogy database, it would give investigators more information, even about the match's distant relatives, and possibly lead to a suspect. The Pima County Sheriff told NBC this week the investigation continues to grow, with officials working to identify clothing items connected to the suspect. The Sheriff's Department is urging volunteer searchers to give investigators space while law enforcement continues its work. President Trump announced global tariffs of 15%, which then he hiked to 15%, and this comes after the Supreme Court ruled to strike down the use of tariffs under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. More news after this break. Don't go away.
This land, our America, built on hard work, determination, and grit. Sometimes the days run long, but hope, it never runs out, even when the food does, for America's veterans, working parents, even kids. Because in every corner of every town, even yours, millions of hard-working neighbors are facing a hunger crisis, many for the very first time. In this land of plenty, affording food shouldn't require second jobs and third shifts or choosing between your groceries and bills. Today, you can help change that. Call or go online to helpfeedingamerica.org and give $19 a month, less than 63 cents a day, to help every neighbor get the food they urgently need. Because taking care of each other is what makes America strong. We're Feeding America, not just a name, but an action. Working with over 200 local food banks like the ones in your community, and demand is soaring.
You go to the grocery store, you spend $100, and $100 is a new $20 bill.
Even with 2 full-time jobs, it's hard to make ends meet.
These are tough times, but when we stand together, we become the very best of a strong America. Please call or go online to helpfeedingamerica.org. Just $19 a month can feed a family today. And your first gift can double in impact. Plus, we'll send you this free canvas bag as a reminder of the hope you're delivering.
When it comes down to it, it's about taking care of your family first and the loved ones that you need to provide for.
Because you're not just giving food, you're fueling resilience for people across the nation. You're feeding America. Call or go online today to helpfeedingamerica.org, and your gift can double in impact.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
President Trump announced global tariffs of 10%. He then hiked it to 15%. This comes after the Supreme Court ruled to strike down the use of tariffs under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Joining us now to discuss this is Daniel Lacalle. He's an international financial analyst and author of the book Freedom or Equality. So, Daniel, good to have you here today. Now, the president called the ruling ridiculous. He's saying that he essentially can destroy trade, but he can't charge a little fee. Can you explain to us, how do you feel about this?
Well, obviously, I think that everybody feels that the Supreme Court ruling is at least something that comes way too late. There's a significant number of trade deals that have already happened and that are working, that have proven to be better for growth, better for global trade, and that have leveled the playing field. So I think that the Supreme Court ruling is perfectly acceptable, and obviously I am not going to comment on the ruling itself, but it doesn't change the U.S. trade policy. It doesn't change the administration's view of trade policy and leveling the playing field in global commerce. And more importantly, the entire headline-grabbing figures of 200 billion refunds, etc., has completely vanished in one day. I think that all of the trading partners that have agreed trade deals with the United States are very happy with those agreements and want to continue with them and don't want to change anything. And obviously, introducing a 15% global tariff would generate a much higher level of tariff revenues and would certainly change things dramatically for those that unwisely would decide to break those agreements.
So President Trump made trade deals under these tariffs with Europe, right? So how are European countries, the European Union, how are they feeling about this new ruling?
Obviously, we've heard a few of the officials of the European Union saying that what they want is clarity, which is a very good sign, because they're not saying that they're going to break the agreement. They're just saying, we want the United States to guarantee that it's going to be honored. And that is a great thing, because it means that the process of finalizing the deal and getting it done is likely to continue. Obviously, a lot of European Union politicians are trying to read too many things into the headline of the Supreme Court ruling. We've read some headlines in European press saying that the Supreme Court ruled tariffs as illegal. That is false, as we all know, no? So we need to understand that a lot of political turmoil is being created, but I think it's important to hear the representatives representatives of trade of the European Union with a very balanced view, which is basically they want the EU-US trade deal to go ahead. They want the United States to clarify that the United States will honor that deal. And obviously they know that if the European Union decided to break the trade agreement, it would be exceedingly onerous for European exporters to send products to the United States. And in a year in which the EU trade surplus has been quite significant, I think that they don't want to put in danger the position of the exporters of the European Union.
And we heard earlier the trade representative saying that the policy on tariffs has not changed, but the president can use other rules to carry out this policy. So in your view, Daniel, this ruling specifically, do you think it's weakened President Trump's power or strengthened it, as the president says it did?
Well, I think that it has strengthened it, because if you think about it, we may agree with the Supreme Court that the way in which the Liberation Day tariffs were presented were not specifically legal in the sort of reading detail by detail. But what we certainly know is that what the ruling is saying is that the president can impose an embargo, that the president can put the tariffs under Section 338, Section 301, Section 232, etc., and obviously the one that has been mentioned this weekend, Section 122. And obviously what the Supreme Court has actually given the president is a lot more tools to implement an aggressive tariff policy. And I think that is why there's been such an incredible silence from the trading partners. A lot of investment banks and sell-side analysts were saying, trading partners are just going to go out and demand refunds. And obviously none of that has happened. And more importantly, the UK, the European Union are saying that what they want is for the trade deals that they have agreed upon to go ahead. I think that President Trump knows that, and that is why he has announced the 15% tariffs under Section 122, knowing that if anybody wants to break their commitments, they're going to find themselves with a huge tariff bill, in some cases twice as large as the one that was agreed upon.
So can you just talk to us a bit about how tariffs have impacted the U.S. so far? Has it been good or has it been bad?
Well, from my perspective, I think it's very evident. The United States trade deficit has been significantly reduced. We just saw the figures from the Bureau of Economic Analysis that show that the 3-month moving average of trade deficit in the United States is between 25 to 30% lower than in the 23 to 24 period. I think also very significant tariff revenues, $200 billion collected in tariffs. And what we have seen is that it has not impacted economic growth in the United States. The latest figures of GDP growth show a private sector GDP growth of 2.4% and a 1.4%, including the impact of the government shutdown in government spending. And we have seen also that the disinflation process is phenomenal, that there has been no inflationary pressure from these tariffs because, as we have discussed a number of times and with you, Don, is tariffs are not the cause of inflation. What causes inflation is government spending and money printing. Tariffs may be discussed from numerous perspectives, from a global perspective, from a geopolitical perspective, and even from a trading perspective, but certainly not from an inflationary pressure perspective. And it's pretty obvious in the data that has been published, both officially, but also in the independent data collected by analysts that are showing that disinflation is very, very clear in the United States.
Okay, Daniel, just one last question. Do you think without the use of the IEEPA rule, the act that was ruled illegal by the Supreme Court, do you think without that Trump loses any power in terms of negotiation using tariffs, any leverage that is lost? Because President Trump said under that rule, he used tariffs to end 5 wars. So without this, I mean, just your overall thoughts on this. Does he lose any negotiation leverage?
He doesn't lose any negotiation leverage. In fact, unfortunately, what the Supreme Court is doing, and certainly not willingly, is put the United States president's tools more on the aggressive side. Is that instead of something as the Liberation Day tariff announcements, which was clearly, and we discussed it here as well numerous times, which was clearly a tool for negotiations and to enter into the trade agreements that have been successfully closed, what the Supreme Court is basically saying is that the president has all of the tools that the different sections of the trading laws give, and on top of that, an embargo possibility. So I think that his position is actually one in which today his negotiation power is stronger, because the previous one was clearly a negotiation tactic. The next options, once that has been ruled out, are all straight up tariff implementations and trade threat implementation, because they're all national security and unfair use of trading measures from other countries. So from my perspective, I think that the Supreme Court ruling strengthens the position of President Trump in terms of aggressiveness of trade policy, but I think that it also strengthens the position of President Trump, because it is clearly showing that the trading partners, who are not stupid, obviously, would face significantly higher tariff charges if they broke their agreements, and therefore it is very likely to end up being something that is, one, not contested, second, will be likely something that will make other trading partners that have not reached trade deals reach ones very, very quickly.
Right. In addition to what you're saying about strengthening the president's power, I think it also gives clarity as well, because the other rules have been legally tested, as you alluded to as well. So, Daniel, thank you for giving us...
that's very important because... Yeah, that's very important, because we also have to remind people that when we talk about all these rulings, is that the Obama presidency, the Biden administration, the Clinton administration, the Reagan administration, all of them have implemented them in the past. Yes.
Right, right. Well, thank you for giving us your comments. Pleasure speaking with you as always.
As always, thank you very much.
U.S. and Iranian officials are set to resume nuclear talks on Thursday in Geneva. That's according to the foreign minister of Oman, the country mediating the talks. Iran's top diplomat told CBS there's a good chance for a diplomatic solution, but tensions between the two nations remain high. President Trump has warned that limited strikes against Iran are possible if talks fail. Iran said today it would respond ferociously to any strikes by the U.S. Both sides have stressed that the upcoming talks will focus exclusively on Iran's nuclear program, as long-standing disagreements over missiles and armed groups remain unresolved. And amid tensions with Iran, the U.S. is exercising more caution in the Middle East. The State Department is ordering non-essential diplomats and their family members to leave Lebanon. The State Department says the decision is based on a continuous review of the regional security environment. Essential personnel, that is, will remain at their posts, and the U.S. Embassy in Beirut remains operational. The department says it's a temporary measure to ensure the safety of their personnel. The U.S. today calling the nuclear control treaty between the U.S. and Russia a bad deal. The treaty is known as New START. A U.S. official saying Russia is aiding the expansion of China's nuclear arsenal.
We could not accept an offer to maintain some of New START's central limits. Asking the United States to confine itself to bilateral limits with Russia, especially while Moscow helps boost Beijing's capacity to increase its arsenal size and thereby puts upward pressure on U.S. requirements, is the definition of a bad deal.
China had only around 200 nuclear weapons at the time of New START's beginning. Now Beijing is on track to have the material necessary for more than 1,000 nuclear warheads by 2030. Officials say the threat is made worse by Russian assistance to China's CFR-60 or 600 reactors. The government says Russia is transferring highly enriched uranium fuel assemblies to the program. Officials warn those can produce the material China needs to help expand its nuclear arsenal. Over to Hong Kong, a court of appeal today dismissed all appeals by 12 pro-democracy activists in the city's largest case under a draconian national security law. The ruling upholds jail terms for 11 former lawmakers and activists. They took part in an unofficial 2020 primary election, part of the so-called Hong Kong 47 case.
Even if what they did and what they planned were lawful, according to the basic law, the court wouldn't consider anything else and just judged that they wanted to subvert the state. It's ridiculous.
Sentences for the convicted range from 4 to 10 years. 2 activists had their acquittals confirmed. The prosecutors have crushed much of Hong Kong's once thriving pro-democracy movement. They have drawn condemnation from rights groups and foreign governments, including the US, Britain, and Australia. After the ruling, the activists appeared calm, waving to family and supporters. Hungary has vowed to block new European Union sanctions on Russian and a 90 billion euro loan for Ukraine. It cited an ongoing outage of Russian oil through a key pipeline. Hungary says Kyiv is responsible for the disruption and that it will not change its stance until deliveries resume. The move comes on the eve of the 4th anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Hungary's foreign minister explains the decision.
We are not agreeing with passing the 20th package because Ukraine decided not to restart the oil deliveries to Hungary, with which they do endanger our energy security. This is it, and no one has the right to put our energy security at risk because it's an issue of national sovereignty.
As we have heard some very strong statements from Hungary, that's why I don't really, see that they are going to change this, unfortunately, today, this position that they have.
The development comes as attacks in the southern Odessa region killed 2 people overnight. Ukraine's President Zelensky warned the world must apply intense pressure on Moscow, accusing President Putin of seeking global dominance. EU foreign ministers met in Brussels today. Approval of the 20th sanctions package and the Ukraine loan is unlikely due to Hungary and Slovakia blocking it. Russian oil shipments to the 2 countries have been interrupted since late January. Ukrainian officials say the cause was Russian drone attacks that damaged a key pipeline. The USA men's hockey team captures Olympic gold for the first time since 1980, defeating Canada in overtime. A clutch game winner, a dominant performance in the net, and a surprise call from President Trump. More news after this break.
Kind of invited to walk in.
This harmonious feeling is not by accident. It is the very subject of the work. The book they are reading is the main text of Falun Gong, which is an ancient Chinese spiritual discipline in the Buddhist tradition. At the core of Falun Gong are the values of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. Unfortunately, the practice is banned in China, where the artist resides. Thousands have been killed for their faith. Golden energy blooms into the room as a result of their steadfast faith. The painting on the back wall reminds us of this work's title, Plum Blossoms in a Mud
the time go? Somehow I lost all those years. Where did the time go? I don't know how I got here. Or how did I get here?
You've done the hard part. You quit smoking. Now do the easy part and get scanned for lung cancer. If you smoked, you may still be at risk, but early detection could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
The United States has won its first men's Olympic hockey gold since 1980, defeating Canada 2-1 in overtime at the Milano Cortina Games. Jack Hughes scored the winning goal just over a minute into 3-on-3 overtime, sending the U.S. team and fans into a wild celebration. Goaltender Connor Hellebuyck was outstanding, stopping 41 of 42 shots. The victory came exactly 46 years after the miracle on ice. The team also honored the late teammate Johnny Gaudreau, who died in 2024. They helped up his number 13 jersey and brought his children onto the ice for the medal ceremony. FBI Director Kash Patel was seen in Italy celebrating with the U.S. men's hockey team. Patel, a longtime hockey fan, posted on social media multiple times from the event. Patel thanked the team for, in his words, representing the greatest country on earth. Following the win, President Trump got on the phone with the team, inviting them and the women's team to his State of the Union tomorrow night. Captain Austin Matthews discussed his call with Trump.
Yeah, I mean, we're all proud Americans, obviously, and I mean, this is a huge moment for us. It's a huge moment for the United States, and you know, he called and just congratulated us. You know, I think there's a lot of moving parts as far as you know, our travels back home, but yeah, we'll kind of see what happens. But obviously, you know, it's an honor to wear this jersey and to represent the U.S. and to go home with a gold medal.
Let's also hear some reactions from the fans.
American fans leave the Olympic venue with huge smiles and national pride.
USA! Elation.
Yeah, joy.
Joy. But I tell you, it was just a great game to watch. I mean, because you know you're watching history, right? And years from now, people will talk about this game, and we can say we were there.
Yeah,
so fantastic.
Absolutely.
Because Canada played so well through most of the game, and you know, things happen, and you get lucky too. But it was a great game all in all.
And get a little teary-eyed. It's an emotional moment.
President Donald Trump posted a congratulatory message to the U.S. team on Truth Social. Canadian fans are understandably disappointed, yet still hopeful.
Your heart just sinks a little bit. Like you said, it was pretty fast. So you have 20 minutes of game, but you know it's sudden death, and then we just suddenly died in that moment.
Disappointed. I think probably most Canada fans are. A lot of us probably feel like we should have won that game. Yeah, Canada played really hard. Ultimately, do I think that it's still our sport? The answer is yes.
The last time the two national teams met was for the Four Nations face-off last year. Canada beat the U.S. for the trophy. Then Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau tweeted, "You can't take our country and you can't take our game." The first part, a reference to President Trump's wish to make Canada a part of the U.S. In response, the White House tweeted a picture of an American bald eagle pushing a Canada goose into ice.
The U.S. men's hockey team will be attending President Trump's State of the Union address. The president called to congratulate and invite the team following their win, bringing home gold. Trump also invited the men's team to the White House, saying he will award them some medals. He joked that he will also need to bring the women's team, otherwise he'll be impeached. The women's team also won gold against Canada last week, but declined to attend Trump's State of the Union address tomorrow. The team says it's grateful for the invitation, but unable to attend due to the timing and previously scheduled academic and professional commitments following the games. The 2026 Winter Olympics officially ended yesterday with the Olympic flames in the two host cities extinguished during the closing ceremony. A total of 116 medal events were held in 8 Olympic sports across 16 disciplines. The U.S. finished second, winning 12 golds and 33 total medals. Norway led the medal count with 18 golds and 41 total medals. The Winter Olympics may be over, but footage of the competition will live forever. This year, a former figure skater turned cameraman was on the ice to document the games. NTD's Andrew Thomas has more on his story.
Olympic figure skaters dazzled spectators at the 2026 Winter Games. Former Team USA ice dancer Jordan Cowan got a unique perspective. Now a roaming camera operator, he films skaters from the end of their routines through their exit. It's a gap in coverage that he calls unexplored territory in figure skating broadcasts.
It's special. Like, this is the first time it's been done. It's my first time at the Olympics, and I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better first experience.
Like many elite athletes, competition for Cowan eventually came to an end, so he had to determine what life would look like after the ice. He decided to turn two of his passions, film and science, into a career.
While I was a competitive skater, I felt guilty for not pursuing these things, but at the same time, I felt like pursuing them would take me away from the sport. When I finally realized I could combine them together into something new that I'd never seen before, that's when I realized it all just made sense.
Cowan uses a cinema lens with manual focus and manual zoom. He says the equipment is part of an effort to return to more traditional filmmaking techniques.
What I love about it is it's the way I film now, it's kind of trying to create a more timeless look than a trendy look. So the rig that I shoot with now is like my maximum way of storytelling on ice.
Cowan has never competed at the Olympics, but he performs a crucial role in documenting the games and the personal stories that come with them.
It's an honor to be here and to be part of the Olympic story and, yeah, create these memories that I think even the skaters' friends and family like can point to it and say like, that's my cousin, that's my aunt. Like those are the people that bring these athletes here in the first place.
Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
Chaos across Mexico with 25 soldiers being reported dead after a major military operation. How the U.S. assisted in the military raid to kill a key cartel boss in Mexico. More news after this.
I'm Jonathan Lawson. If you're 50 to 85, I have an important message about security. Write down the number on your screen so you can call when I finish. The lock I want to talk to you about isn't the one on your door. This is a lock for your life insurance, a rate lock that guarantees that once you're insured, your rate can never go up at any time for any reason. But be careful. Many policies you see do not have one. But you can get a lifetime rate lock from Colonial Penn. Call this number to learn more. This plan was designed with a rate lock for people on a fixed income who want life insurance that fits their budget and is simple to get. Coverage options start at $9.95 a month, less than 35 cents a day. Act now, and your rate will be locked in for life. It will never increase, guaranteed. This is lifelong coverage that can never be canceled as long as you pay your premiums, guaranteed. And your acceptance is guaranteed, with no health questions. You cannot be turned down because of your health. Call for your information kit and read about this rate lock for yourself. You'll also get a free beneficiary planner. Both are free with no obligation. Don't miss out. Call for information, then decide. Read about the 30-day 100% money-back guarantee. Don't wait. Call this number now.
Call now and you will also get this free beneficiary planner. Use this valuable guide to record important information and your final wishes, and it's yours free just for calling. So don't wait. Call 1-800-357-4821 for your free information. That's 1-800-357-4821. There's no risk or obligation. That number again is 1-800-357-4821. That's 1-800-357-4821. 1-800-357-4821. Call now.
There is a road laid out for me.
Boxes everywhere. And this is going to be Addie's room.
I am blind.
I think you're really going to like it.
I hope so. Yeah.
I know this road is there for me.
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
The way it's down by the river. I am blind, but I need not see.
I got this.
I know this road is there for me.
Okay.
If I'm really free, take me down to